Oh my god, you guys. I don't know what it is about actually having the physical product in your hands. It's got me shaken, but I finally have my hands on some Bakugan Battle Planet. The launch day that was supposed to be yesterday, I was kind of hoping that I could go to my local store, pick some up, and do a launch day special. I'm on the East Coast, so that was not as easy because the East Coast kind of got the shaft when it came to Bakugan product. Like, only today did these deluxes trickle into my local Walmart. Although I was able to take a look at the case so I could tell you the ratios for all of these, and I do have the 3 rarest Bakugan out of there to take a look at today, but yeah, they've only recently started appearing at my local stores. They're going to start trickling in over the next few days, although that's a bit disappointing for me because apparently on the West Coast, they're already getting the stuff from Wave 2, and I just feel like I'm so far behind, and geez. And to all of you who have mentioned that they noticed that I wasn't at the Bakugan Sneak Peek Invitational, I wasn't invited. I'm not sure why, but believe me, I am really flattered that you guys feel highly enough of me to feel that I should have been invited. I've been talking a little bit with Spin Master. I've at least managed to get in contact with the person in charge of their Twitter, so hopefully those things will all resolve themselves in time, but let's get down to brass tacks. Here's what we got today. We have 3 Bakugan Deluxe. Now these, it includes like the Haos Garganoid and the RLS Maxitar. I was super excited to take a look at these. Pretty much the only thing that I'm missing that I was super excited about was that Haos Pegatrix, because, you know, I am the Haos boy. I'm the one who Haoses. But these are the deluxe ones, and like I was mentioning previously, these are clearly the higher fidelity, more complex ones that are designed more for like longtime fans. They're more expensive. They're $10 a piece, which seems a little high. I mean, the deluxe edition Bakugan are always going to be more expensive than the regular ones, but 10 seems a bit high to me, and the basic ones are 7. That's a bit unusual as well. Now, I have actually been avoiding anybody else who has videos showing these off because I want this to be a complete surprise to me. I mean, I have gone over some of the rules, but I don't think I'll actually say anything about the rules until I get my hands on an actual deck and can actually show off some gameplay. But for now, we're going to be taking a look at Haos Garganoid, which they are sent in cases of 16 to stores. Haos Garganoid, there are 2 of these in each set of 16, and Aurelus Maxitor and Diamond Hyderus, they are the sort of chase figures. These only come 1 per case, so they are a lot harder to find. Of course I grabbed them. I really wanted to get my hands on this Aurelus Maxitor, although I have to make a correction. Apparently Aurelus is not the new Subterra. Apparently it's its own thing, and they've just kind of gotten rid of Subterra. They said it's like, oh, it was like the worst selling one. I don't think I agree with that decision. That would be like saying, hey, nobody's making fire decks anymore. We should just stop printing fire Pokemon cards. So, well, go figure. Aurelus seems like it has a similar strategy to Subterra, and that is overwhelming power without much flexibility, and that's kind of what Subterra was. So, I guess it's not that much different. But for some extra fun, we have Haos Garganoid. Garganoid is a Bakugan that you might remember from the original series. Here it is right here. My classic OG Garganoid here. And I think it would not surprise me if some of the other ones were also trying to be the bring back the old names. Like, it would not surprise me if they originally tried to make Hyderus be named Tigrera, because it looks like classic Tigrera if you look at its image on the package here. Or the Ava Unit 1 Bakugan that I showed off before. I think that was supposed to be the new Robanoid, but trademarks, you know, they're kind of a funny thing. It's why like when you buy a Transformer, it doesn't say Jazz, it says Autobot Jazz, because that's something they can actually trademark. But anyway, this gives us a good opportunity. We're going to compare them to some similar Bakugan from the original series, like Haos Garganoid. We're going to compare to Garganoid Classic. Maxitor, we are going to compare to its closest equivalent, which is Subterra Saboteur, also a bull that ends in Tor. And for Hyderus, I compared it to Keylon Leonis before, but in this edition, we are going to compare it to Ogre Leonis. Now, Ogre Leonis, this is actually great because it gives us an opportunity to compare these Bakugan to B1, B2, and B3. Yeah, Ogre Leonis. I never actually got around to reviewing Ogre Leonis, but it is actually, when folded up, larger than the majority of Bakugan that were produced. It's I think people refer to these as B3 because of their size, and that's because it actually has a gimmick where it can be split in half and merged into hybrids, kind of like the Bakugan Mutants, but it's actually like divided in half and they actually fold up differently. It's kind of fun. So anyway, let's get into it, and since we're going to be going B1, B2, B3, we're going to start with Haos Garganoid. Alright, and here we have the package for Haos Garganoid. As with all deluxes, we get a picture of its monster form on the side. On the basic ones, it's just going to be Dragonoid every time, but in this case, we actually get to take a look at Garganoid here. Now, like I said, I assume this is a complexity gauge, so Haos Garganoid would be complexity 3. Taking a look in here, we can kind of see he's got like big old long loping arms. It's actually kind of cool with big old wings and a super long tail. He comes with 2 Baku cores. We have the shield and the fist, and we can actually take a look on the side here. This is something we don't get to do in those stock pictures. Like, I can see the folding instructions for Garganoid down there, although it looks like it's a Darkest Garganoid being used for that edition. That's kind of interesting. So yeah, challenge. That's what I said. Challenge, Defi. I guess yeah, the challenge. That's the. I was right. It's a complexity rating. So Garganoid is supposed to be complexity rating 3. Oh, look at him. He's crouched over like a linebacker. So it includes 1 Bakugan Ultra, which is also their term for deluxe, 2 Baku cores, 1 ability card, and 1 character card. So it comes with a character card, and I assume it also comes with a unique ability. I'm assuming that the ability card is non-random. Leap open, Baku action. So it does sort of a backflip as it opens by the look of it. So that's kind of similar to Screecher's Wild, similar to Turning Mech card, which Spin Master's been getting kind of litigious against. I hope, well, we're going to see how ugly that gets. How do you roll? Bakugan.com. They also mentioned Maxitar, Serpentes, Howlcore, and Mantanoid. The deluxe come in cases of 16, and like I said, it comes with 2 of these, 1 of these, 2 of these, 3 of these, 3 of these, 4 Hydorus, and 1 Diamond Hydorus. So, this one's a bit rarer. I assume that the ones that are actually owned by characters like Hydorus and Howlcore and Mantanoid have gotten priority because somebody owns their characters. We haven't really seen anybody use Garganoid or Serpentes in the show yet, and they've put out 20 episodes. That is, again, going to be something I'm going to discuss once we get more access to it. So apparently Bakugan has an app. I haven't actually tried it. Maybe I'll try it out and do some footage on that. But let's get this thing open. Just taking a look inside of the package here. So here are the cores. They're actually secured under a little flap here, which is designed to keep them safe. So that looks like it's fist plus 3 damage, and shield plus 400 power for Haos and Pyrus. So there's that. But the cards are actually inside a little bag here, although it's attached with tape. And this is always dangerous to do with cards, is attach them with tape. I know with Light Seekers, countless cards that were attached to the boxes this way were seriously damaged. So all we can do is hope that they were careful with this. It looks like this part is taped as well, so this is going to be a bit of a challenge to get these cards out of here safely. Hopefully this is something that they'll be able to work on in the future. Okay, so here we have the contents of Haos Ultra Garganoid. So as we see here, we have the Garganoid, which is all nice and folded up. It's a bit of a challenge to fold up, although I guess I should expect nothing less from a complexity 3. We get 2 Baku cores, a basic shield, and a basic punch. We get the Garganoid Ultra character card, which Haos, which is the white and blue. It has what happens is it's like Gormiti, where you combine the power total on the Bakugan with the power total on the card. At least that is my understanding of how that works. It might be right, it might be wrong, but you have the 400 plus the 400 power and 3 damage. 3 damage, that seemed a bit higher than what I was looking at before, so Garganoid Ultra is clearly a fairly aggressive card, and it also came with the ability card Blinding Glam, which has a 3 energy cost and says -3 damage to an energy Bakugan or to an enemy Bakugan, or +3 to one of your Bakugan. So this seems like an interesting staple card. 3 might be a bit expensive, but the fact that it can be applied whether you win or lose and will give you a beneficial effect seems like it would be a standard card to put into any deck, because it's a card that you're basically guaranteed to be able to use. So let's focus on Garganoid here, and let's bring up the classic still folded up. While we're at it, you can see that there's definitely a size discrepancy between the two. This, I mean, this is just a B1 Bakugan. It's the size of a standard shooter marble. This is, of course, going to be quite a bit larger. Man, I'm trembling with excitement here. But one thing I have to note right away is there is some pretty serious Alto Brontes disease going on. This thing is far from perfectly spherical in its folded up form. It is a very complex Bakugan, but at the same time, you got some pretty complex stuff coming from elsewhere as well, and they didn't have these big, nasty hinges protruding out everywhere. I am not a fan of it. I like my Bakugan to be fairly flush. So that's a bit of a point against it, but another couple things that it came with a checklist, which we're going to look at the end of the video to see what else is available, and a set of quick play rules. Now, there is a version of the game that requires a 40-card deck, but these quick play rules, it seems, allow you just roll the Bakugan onto the cores, compare the highest power, and the highest power wins. So that's not bad for just, you know, a straight up quick play game, and the cards add the complexity. That's not so bad. So let's see how Garganoid transforms. There we go. Huh, don't know how much that counted as like a backflip or anything, but it did pick up the card, as you can see there. It flipped it over in the process. I grabbed the defend card, which gives you a boost of G power. So is it possible that the attack cards give you a boost to damage and the defend cards give you a boost to G power? That seems to be the case with these two, but this gives us kind of a nice look at the Garganoids. Here we have my classic Garganoid here, the classic Ventus Garganoid, and the far more complex Haos Garganoid. He's kind of, like I said, he looks like he's kind of hunched over like a linebacker. We have here the power printed on him, B400, so it's the same as the card he came with, so I'm wondering if this is just his straight up power that matches up with the card, or if this is added to the card, because I'm seeing cards that are like evolutions that have a different power on them, so I'm wondering if they combine with each other to get those beneficial effects. I guess I'll have to get a full version of the rules to be absolutely sure, but here is our Haos Garganoid. The Ultras all lift up their Baku cores here, so kind of hunched over in a bit of a funny way. It has these big old wings, which are responsible for some of the protrusions here, and we have the tail. This is actually where the magnet is, right here in the tail, which is how it flips over and grabs them. Like I said in my original video where I looked at the photos of this thing, I actually kind of like this because it opens up new possibilities for transformation. So this I think is a huge improvement. It's also like flat on the bottom. It was kind of a circle in the later B2 and like barely any space at all on the B1. So it has a big old flat here, and there's like an arrow on the front as well where they say that's like the recommended direction to launch it or something. I tried a few times. It's clearly gonna take some practice to get right, but kind of funny. He looks like he's about to start a football play. He's got I actually thought originally these are actually his arms. I thought originally that these are supposed to be horns like what this Garganoid has, but no, I think these are supposed to be his shoulders. So he's a pretty funny looking little guy here with his hunched over body and his little feet there. So now, let's take an even closer look. Haos's colors, rather than white and gold, are now white and blue, which I guess is supposed to be like the color of heaven, the color of the sky. And pretty interesting little guy here. He's got some teal as well as a few standard blue colors, as you can see on his knee there. He has the blue eyes that have are those part of the plastic? That looks like it's actually part of the plastic molding to have those eyes in there. Whoa, those like actual like eyeballs and stuff in there. That's some pretty high fidelity stuff. Yeah, wow, they actually bothered to mold little eyeballs on this thing. That's amazing. Yeah, just look at that. That is some very nice detail. I do live for that kind of detail. Like this thing is like that little eyeball there is barely the size of like the end of a needle, and yet they still felt the need to mold that. So that is the fidelity you're paying for with the Ultras by the look of it. We got oh, he's look at that. He's got some high heels to go with the big old thighs there, and these wings are very, very intricate. They have what look like chains on them. They kind of look like the diamond chains. There we have the long, folding tail. Not quite the character you play as in Demon's Crest, but not bad. So yeah, here is the new, the replacement for G power. It is now B power, and it has so far only been seen in increments of 100. To my understanding, in the case of a tie, you go with whichever Bakugan has the highest damage. At least that's what it says according to the quick play rules. But yeah, taking a look here, it's a teal on the inside with more of those chains going on in there. There is SML, Spin Master Limited, China. We have some more chains on the inside. We have a screw here. They're using the old triangle screws that you see on some toys, some Happy Meal toys. I actually have a screwdriver that could take these apart, but I don't think I'm gonna. I mean, if somebody sends me a duplicate, I totally will take that apart. Oh, we have like, I guess maybe these are supposed to be like the horns on here. They kind of look like the ridges of the horns on top here. We have very squat little guy, isn't he? He's just kind of hanging out. I guess the image they're going for is an image of him kind of stooping on the edge of a cathedral or something like that, kind of like the classic grotesques of the Baroque period. And you know, if it ain't Baroque, don't fix it. So yeah, pretty fun guy. Now, actually transforming Garganoid Ultra is a bit of an ordeal. He is complexity level 3, so they make that sort of a bit of a tricky business. So the first thing you do is these arms, you'd think these arms would like fold down under here. They don't. They actually fold up over his back, so he does like the spy crab thing. Then the head comes down, then he closes his legs around himself, and those are supposed to hold everything in place. Then you bring in the wings. This is the tough part, because it's very easy to accidentally let go of one of the arms or legs and just have everything fly to pieces on you. And then we have the really tricky part, which is bringing up the tail, and the tail just barely fits in there, so you have to kind of nestle it in so that it doesn't also force the thing far enough apart that the other pieces, such as the arms and legs, come loose. And I think, did something come loose here? Yeah, leg came loose. So yeah, even something like that is enough to freeze this thing in its tracks, just having one of those high heels come loose. Yeah, it is very, very, very particular. But like I keep saying, these are clearly recommended for fans and collectors who want that kind of complexity. They have the simpler ones, which are also cheaper. Those are the ones intended for the kids, and it looks like most of the Bakugan that come in an Ultra form also come in a basic form, although I don't know if the Garganoid got a basic form or not. There we go. Yeah, kind of tricky. Gonna be a bit of a pain to do in the middle of a match, but that a nice aggressive power, that 3 damage for just 400 power, seems like it would be fairly balanced, fairly aggressive, as long as I have the things to back it up. So this might be something I'm gonna try. All right, so I think I'm gonna. Well, first we should take a look at the checklist and the quick play rules, and then I think I'm gonna do Aurelus, Maxitar, and Hyderus as their own episode. So starting with this checklist, we of course have the Bakugan Ultra at the top. That includes Hyderus, which looks like it's going to come in every attribute but Ventus, but it's also going to come in Aurelus, which is interesting. It also has the diamond down there that you see. I have the diamond Hyderus. We have Mantanoid, which looks like it's going to come in every element except for Aurelus and Diamond. So it's going to come in every attribute. There was an episode where there were several characters who had an attribute. We have Howlcore, which looks like it's going to come in every attribute but Aquos, although this is still the first run, so we'll have to see. It's nice to have a checklist that'll show us all the available attributes for the characters. So we also have Garganoid, which is the one we just looked at, which is going to come in every attribute except for Aquos. That's kind of interesting. But it's also going to come in Darkest, and the back of this is actually the transformation guide, and it has Garganoid in Darkest. So let's keep going. We have Maxitor. The Maxitor in the show is Ventus, but the one I have and the one that's currently available in the single packs is Aurelus. We have Serpentes, which is like Dragonoid, only cooler looking, which is going to come in. Oh, it's not going to come in Aquos. A lot of these aren't coming in Aquos, or no, not coming in Darkest. Okay, so Darkest is the attribute that these three are not really. The instructions for Garganoid are in Darkus, and a Darkus Garganoid isn't going to be made available? That's weird. That's really weird. And now we have some that we haven't looked at before. We have Tortonium, which I think I don't think we've actually seen it in battle. We've seen it a couple of times, but it only comes in Pyrus and Aurelus, despite having a Darkus picture on the card. That's kind of weird. We have Syndius, which is only coming in Aquos and Darkus, despite the fact that in the show it's Pyrus and it has Cinder in its name. This is a bit of a weird spread. We have Ultranilius. This one was in episode 19. We also have one called Krakelios, which is obviously the Kraken to be unleashed. And we have Trox. Oh, this is Ultra Trox. This one actually looks really nice. I like how this one looks compared to this nonsense down here. It's gonna come in Haos. Awesome. Oh no, it's not gonna come in Haos. I guess regular Trox is in Haos. It's gonna come in Aurelus and Diamond. So I guess these are probably gonna be the diamonds for upcoming waves, or they're the ones in the multi-pack or something. And then we have the regular ones. We of course have the dorky looking Dragonoid, which is gonna come in every single attribute, including Aurelus and Diamond. I think we've seen both of those in the preview images already. We have Hydarus, which comes in every but Ventus. We have Trox, which comes in every but Aurelus. We have Pegatrix. Oh, Pegatrix comes in all but Pyrus, so I'm definitely going to try to get my hands on Pegatrix at some point. Pegatrix is, well, it's kind of hard to tell whether it's Pegatrix or Gorathon is the signature Bakugan of Leah, because Gorathon is the one she's used the most. She's been using Winston a whole lot more than the horse. We have Serpentes, a regular Serpentes that isn't the Ultra Serpentes, which doesn't look quite as interesting. We have Fangzor the Snake, which comes in every attribute except for Aurelus. We have Nilius, which looks like it's going to come in every attribute but Diamond. And we have, oh, there's a standard type Mantanoid. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. They've been kind of using a lot of the Ultras in the show, but it looks like there's going to be standard versions as well. And as you can see, Pyrus, Aquos, Haos, Ventus, Darkus, Aurelus, and Diamond. Aurelus and Diamond are kind of put on separate little pedestals there, so it'll be interesting to see. Okay, and here we have the quick play rules, or as they call them, the toy battling game rules. What you do is you set up something called the Hide Matrix, which is where you use the paired Baku cores. These are the ones that the Bakugan bring into play, as I appropriately predicted, and you set them up side to side. You set them all up at once, so each player brings 6, so you're going to have a grand total of 12 on your final setup. And then people you have 5 different types. You have the Helix, the Fist, the Magic Shield, the Flaming Fist, and the regular shield. So it looks like, I assume that these can be mixed and matched as long as you bring in the proper symbols for each character. Although I worry that there's going to be a bit of havoc, that people are going to not know whose cores are whose by the end of the game. So I would propose making sure that you take a photograph of all of your Baku cores turned face up before you play any kind of game. You can just do that with your smartphone or something like that. Just something to keep honesty so people don't try to steal your nice Baku cores. Now, in the case of the toys, we actually keep the cards face down. For the card game, I believe you actually want them face up to prove that you possess each character. And then you both actually take your turn at the same time. You both roll. And here's what it said before, the arrow to give your Bakugan the roll direction for your best performance. And the idea is that you get them both to land, although in this version of the Brawl, it looks like they are going off of the card. We'll have to see how the card power compares to others, but you go with the card power combined with the power on the core, and depending on who has the highest power wins. In case of the tie, it's whoever has the highest damage. So it's the first to the first to 3 wins is the person who wins the game. So very basic rules on the back. It's just in French because this is it's a Canadian company. They pretty much have to print it in French. But all right, so that is a look at Haos Garganoid. The fun critter. Let's see if I can get it to flip. There we go. Okay, now it flipped on camera. So yeah, that's a look at Haos Garganoid, the first of the Bakugan Battle Planet characters I'm going to take a look at. When we come back next time, it's going to be Aurelus Maxitor. Until next time, this is Kodak signing off.
Bakugan Brawl, it's a big brawl. Bakugan Brawl is for it all. Bakugan Brawl, standing tall, we're the awesome ones. Powers in our hand, take a stand, saving everyone. Bakugan Brawl, it's a big